What's going on, guys? Vancouver Gaming here, and welcome back to the video. It is of course a Thursday, which does mean an episode of Sniper Thursday. Now this will most likely be the second to last episode of this series. I've basically covered every single rifle in the game now, of course except for this rifle now, the M1903 Springfield, and of course then the Martini Henry as well. Obviously we'll see further episodes come out with the new sniper rifles being out in DLC, because there are rumours at the moment of snipers coming out, so it depends what ones come out for those. Regardless, I'll cover them and talk about them still on the Thursday, still under Sniper Thursday, but this series won't be as consistent as it is right now. So hopefully next week I'll be able to cover the Martini Henry for you, because that's what I've wanted to do from the very start of this series. But because of things like time I have to spend doing schoolwork, time that's taking videos longer to do, in general not playing as much of the scout class as I wanted to, that episode's taken a little bit longer to actually get ready for you guys. But again, it's what I wanted to do right at the start, but everybody's covering it, so I also kind of thought, you know what, I'll hold off, I won't do that just yet, but hopefully now the time is right to do the episode for you guys. Now regardless, today's episode of course is on the M1903 Springfield. Now you probably know this rifle from some sort of media somewhere, if it's a film, if it's another game. It's really popular in World of War, it's a pretty good rifle in that. Also in Saving Private Ryan, I believe Private Jackson, I think it is, has one of these. He's the sniper who uses the Springfield sniper rifle, and it has a lot of things to do with Vietnam, surprisingly, and basically anything you see of America in the First World War, they're using Springfields most likely. Now this rifle was actually developed in 1903, that's where it gets the name, the M1903, and it was adopted by the US military to replace the Krag rifle, I believe, because basically it had a smarter loading system and it was a more resistant rifle. The Krag could occasionally break due to only having one leg, while the Springfield actually has two legs, making a much stronger rifle. Now production didn't start until 1907, which is 4 years after it was adopted. I don't know why that is, I couldn't find anything why this is so long, but it was produced all the way up until 1949. Now obviously that's not every single day of every single year. They were produced a few of them, stopped, produced a few more, stopped, made a new version, produced a few more, and so on and so forth up until 1949. Now, they didn't actually make that many Springfields. They made about 1,300,000. The reason for this, I think, mostly was just because it was hugely popular in World War I, but they got World War II, and the Garand came along, and they thought, okay, we'll take the rifles we have, make them sniper rifles. And then, of course, Vietnam, they have the M16, and they thought, okay, again, these Springfields will make them more exclusive sniper rifles, less common now. And, of course, eventually, by 1974, where it was finally stopped using it, the US military, so in 1974, they thought, you know what, use it too long now, get rid of it. So this rifle did actually serve all the way from 1907 up until 1974, but wasn't the standard issue rifle that entire time, but was still heavily used by realistically every branch of the US military. Now, along with being featured in a lot of movies, it's featured in a lot of stories as well. And it was actually very favourable as well, because it had good accuracy along with being a pretty damn big bullet, as opposed to certain sniper rifles which used a smaller bullet to get bigger magazine capacity. Now it was called the Springfield because it was developed in the Springfield Armory, and there were actually a few problems with the early variants. The early sights were just absolutely terrible and you can barely see anything. These are the sights I believe we have in Battlefield 1, and they are still pretty bad, especially if they use experimental version. It's really hard to see what we're actually shooting at some of the time, and it's just not a good sight overall. And also the early models would have problems where they go into malfunction and the receiver would actually explode, causing huge bits of shrapnel to go everywhere and seriously injure some soldiers. Now in Battlefield 1 there are of course 3 different variants of this rifle. It's the same with every rifle in the game, of course, except for the Martini Henry. And for this one it has 2 longer range ones and one sort of interesting experimental one. It is literally called the experimental. And for the most part I won't talk about that one because it's not a sniper rifle, this is Sniper Thursday, but I'll give you a little bit of clues, a bit of hints, and basically give you some idea of how you can use it. Now this rifle actually has the longest sweet spot in the entire game. It's from 100 to 150 meters, that is pretty damn far, and for the most part you're not naturally going to find yourself in that distance unless you are purposely setting yourself up that far away. In order to hit shots in that sweet spot zone, it's pretty damn hard to actually get there in the first place and then know that you're there. The periscope actually has a little number on the left of it which tells you how far away something is. You can use a zeroing sight in order to tell if you're in the sweet spot or not. And also then it has a 5-round magazine, which isn't amazing obviously, but that's the same as any other sniper rifle in the game except for the Enfield. The first one, the marksman variant, has a medium scope with a stabilizer grip, and isn't really suited to the sweet spot. Because it's designed to be sort of more medium range, somewhat aggressive recon, it doesn't really fit with the sweet spot, meaning you're not using it properly and really aren't being effective as you can. But then the second variant, the sniper variant, is much better suited to that sweet spot. It has a bipod with a long range scope, and although I would obviously say avoid using the bipod, it basically makes you a sitting target and pretty damn easy to hit, especially with scope and see how many snipers are on Battlefield. One little grip from that scope and you've got 5 people looking at you waiting to kill you. So I would say if you're going to use this rifle overall and use the sweet spot for it, I definitely say use the sniper variant, mainly again because the scope and the bipod just really add to the ability to use that sweet spot. And again, if you're having trouble finding the sweet spot, use the periscope and use that little dial at the side that tells you how far you are, and you actually get perfectly in that sweet spot, stay there and be very effective. Of course, if you don't care about the sweet spot and you care more about actually doing well with being close to the objective and actually get in there with your team, the marksman variant is probably the best one to go with. And the final variant, the experimental, in real life is called a Pedersen device and was basically a conversion kit for the Springfield to turn it into a semi-automatic rifle. It fired a pretty small little bullet and really wasn't designed to be a replacement as much as an idea. Can we make a Springfield semi-automatic? Yes, we can. Let's make a couple of these and really hand them out to random people. Now, it wasn't really useful. The gun just sometimes wouldn't work properly. You'd have to get someone who really knows what they're doing to actually make one and get it to work well. But it is pretty cool, and for the most part, these faults it has do actually pass over into Battlefield 1. Although it is pretty damn cool, it doesn't really work too well. It has an awesome animation. You can see animation right now on the screen, and he actually takes the whole bolt out and puts it back in. This is if you switch back and forth between the cable, by the way. So if you have the experimental variant and you select the cable, he takes all the conversion kit off, puts the bolt back in, takes the bolt back out and puts the conversion kit back on, and it is actually pretty cool. But again, it's really weak. The damage is absolutely terrible. The terrible sights make it really hard to use, especially in close quarters. It's basically spam fire. Hopefully you hit something. The hip fire is surprisingly decent. That's about the only good thing about the experimental variant. But for the most part, there is much better. Any of the standard infantry sniper rifle or any of these semi-automatic medic weapons. Now, overall for this gun, it is a very cool rifle that has a lot of history behind it and is just awesome. It's a Springfield which uses basically everything and is always going to be cool and historic. But for the most part, there is much better. The Gewehr 98 gives you that long range ability, but a bit closer to make itself more of an asset, and the Lee Enfield has a larger magazine and actually has a much better sweet spot. So honestly, the Mauser Gewehr 98 and the Lee Enfield, the two rifles you should be using most. I'd say if you can use this rifle, mainly use it because it's cool, don't use it because it's amazing, because it is really not. It is a lot of fun to use again, and it's pretty damn cool, but it's not really a good sniper rifle. Regardless, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like to subscribe. Again, new series, not next week, the week after that. We're going to start a brand new series. Hopefully you guys really enjoy it, and more Rainbow Six Siege with that series as well. I've been covering a lot of Battlefield, and people are saying to me, hey, I love Battlefield stuff, but I want to see more Rainbow Six Siege, and because of a bunch of changes recently, I'll be doing some of that as well. But again, hope you enjoyed. If you like to subscribe, Like Up Gaming, out.